Hey, it's NPR's Book of the Day. I'm Andrew Limbong. We're continuing our series this week, airing conversations with authors of books that have been banned and challenged in some places in the U.S. You probably know the stats, but just in case, PEN America, the freedom of speech advocacy group, found that 2022 was a big year for book bannings, many of them taking place in Texas. Jerry Craft's graphic novel New Kid was one of those books that was challenged in Texas. And like a lot of challenged books, his touches on race and racism. And Craft tells NPR's A. Martinez this really frustrating story about how his book was challenged and his school visit was canceled. The call was reversed, but by then, the damage was done.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from Wise, the account that lets you manage your money internationally. With Wise, you can send, spend, and receive in over 40 different currencies. You always get the mid-market exchange rate with no markups or hidden fees. Simple. Download the Wise app today.
Support for NPR and the following message come from Live Right, publishers of The Poll by J.M. Coetzee. The Nobel Prize-winning author presents a new novel of Spain, music, and the bold power struggle between two lovers. The Poll by J.M. Coetzee, available wherever books are sold.
In the graphic novel New Kid, writer and cartoonist Jerry Craft tells the story of Black seventh grader Jordan Banks. He's the new kid, finding his way at an elite private school that's predominantly white. New Kid has received numerous honors. It has also been challenged in a Texas school district, with a parent complaining that the content promotes critical race theory, or, in other words, calls out institutional racism. Craft hopes readers see themselves in his books, New Kid and Class Act. And he told me that his character, Jordan Banks, is partly based on himself.
He loves to draw, as did I. He wanted to go to art school, as did I. His mom and dad didn't want him to go to art school because the only term that they had ever heard, like my parents, with artists, was starving artists. So they sent him to the prestigious Riverdale Academy Day School, where they think that he can get an education, get a real job, and not, be a cartoonist when he grows up, which was my parents' hope. Sorry I disappointed them. but he has a very innocent view of the world.
Yeah, and in the book, Jordan pretty much experiences all the stereotypes that I think some kids really do. There's he's being asked what sport he plays. Girls saying that that new kid is kind of cool yet so non-threatening. I mean, that's some pretty intense stuff for a 12-year-old to deal with.
Well, it is, but it isn't, because what I wanted to do, like in my opinion, a lot of the books with African American protagonists have some there's this really big thing that happens, a life-changing event, catastrophic, and, death or police or someone goes to jail or drugs. And I didn't want to show that. So there is no catastrophe in New Kid, but it's just kind of day-to-day code switching. And you get so used to it, just having someone call you the wrong name or, touch your hair. It's not catastrophic by nature. It's annoying, but so, like I said, I really did want to have a book where you could read it and relax and just kind of subtly point out things that, we can all do to improve how these kids grow up.
So in place of that tragic, catastrophic event that changes someone from that day forward, these little things that sometimes maybe a kid like Jordan at 12 years old maybe doesn't quite understand, or maybe does understand, but those are these kind of things that build up and add up and shape the adult that some kids like Jordan become.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. When you're sitting around a group of kids and they are talking about, the TV shows they watch or the music that they listen to, and you're kind of always on the outside. Or, when they learn their first racist jokes from their parents and they're like, hey, Jerry, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, and then they all laugh. And it's like, yeah, that's not really funny. And they think that they're joking. But when you hear that over and over and over again, by the time you're in your 30s or your 40s, if you don't have things that can counteract that, you're trained in a lot of ways to be a second-class citizen. Even taking my sons to the movies, whereas, their white counterparts, if they wanted to see someone that looked like them, their parents took them to see Harry Potter and, Percy Jackson, and, our versions was 12 Years a Slave and Harriet Tubman, and you know what I mean? Like, there just aren't a lot of happy stories. You have no aspirations. And I have a teacher who emailed me, and, all the kids were going around saying what they wanted to do when they grow up. And the black kid in the class goes, well, if I live to be 18, I hope to do blah, blah, blah.
If I live to be 18.
If I live to be 18, right. So I wanted to have a book where there is hope.
Yeah, I mean, so New Kid and Class Act, they just sound like coming of age stories. I mean, you're writing about a lot of the experiences that you had as a kid, but that's what it basically comes down to. Now, Jordan Banks is a very specific kid, and these are his specific experiences. But, I want to know, Jerry, like, what was your understanding then about what caused people to call for the banning of your book? What was there a specific example in the book? Anything like they could point to say that's why it should be banned?
No, because first of all, when I heard that it was banned, I tried to research it, and I found that it was being banned because it teaches critical race theory. So my first step was to Google critical race theory, because at the time
you didn't know what it was.
I had no idea what it was. And then they start lobbing terms like Marxism. And I'm like, how is it Marxism? They get these terms and they've not even read the book, because when they pulled it from the school system in Katy, Texas, they did a review, and then the adults who actually read the book, they were like, there was nothing wrong with this, but they had already canceled my school visit, and they took the books off the shelf. And when they read it, they immediately put it back on the shelves. They apologized, and they said, we would love it if you would, reschedule your school visit, which I did, because at the end of the day, it's the kids, who'd be missing out.
Once the book was banned, then it was reviewed, then it was not banned. And you went through all of these ups and downs of being criticized for things that maybe weren't really in the book. I'm wondering if at all you, as a writer, maybe took a step back to kind of analyze your writing or your approach to telling stories. Did any of that maybe change anything in your process?
Well, I did think about it. And at the end of the day, I realized that if I started to censor myself, then they've won. Like, this is what they wanted me to do, is to not have these books where kids of color are just equal to their white counterparts. That was all I wanted to do. So now in a school trip where everyone goes to Paris, all the kids are the new kids. So they're equally uncomfortable because they don't speak the language. And so, there are things that I did specifically put in to talk about book banning, because I'm not going to shy away from it.
That's the author Jerry Craft. His next graphic novel, School Trip, comes out in April.
Toxic, smelly seaweed is washing up on Florida's beaches. On Shortwave, we're talking to the innovator of a robot that can help scoop it up and fight climate change in the process. It's a story of ambition, ingenuity, and the hope of a better smelling, better feeling, more sustainable world. Hear it on Shortwave as a part of NPR's Climate Week, wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from NPR sponsor W.W. Norton & Company, publishers of Going Infinite, The Rise and Fall of a New Tycoon by Michael Lewis, who had unparalleled access to the rise and fall of Sam Bankman-Fried. Going Infinite is available wherever books are sold.